I had a lawyer read my book, and when I got their feedback, I had to rewrite like 50% of it. So for everybody wondering, I've been following Molly for a really long time. I feel like I've watched every single one of her videos. I know everything about her. There's nothing new in this book for me. I can assure you there is, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Also, in today's video, there is going to be a giveaway, so stay tuned to the end of the video to find out more about that. One of the things that you will be winning is an advanced reader copy of my unreleased memoir, and you will have this in your hands before the public, and of course, it will be signed just for you. So definitely stick around to find out how you can enter the giveaway. Now, the juicy stuff. So let's take a step back to almost 2.5 years ago. I was meeting with a bunch of different literary agents, and I met with literary agents for quite a few months leading up to when I found who ended up being my agent. And first off, every single agent was just like, you'll need a ghostwriter, you'll need a co-writer, you'll need a ghostwriter. And it was really weird to feel like these people were like, we want to sell your story, but also we don't believe that you're able to write it. It was very strange energy. So when I met with my literary agent, they were like the opposite. They were like, we really believe that you can write this book and that that's what's going to make it great, is that it'll be in your authentic voice in a way that no ghostwriter will be able to capture for you. So I was like, check. These are people who believe in me. And at the end of the day, that's why I want on my team, people who believe in me. But in that first meeting, they were like, so what's going to be new in this book? Like, what are you going to say that hasn't been said? And I was like, girl, so much. And I think that's what confuses a lot of people is I'm such an open book, and I'm known for being so authentic and honest and vulnerable with you guys, which I have been. I think all of these videos of me crying over the years shows that. But there was so much that I was hiding. And I would get asked about it. Like, people would leave comments like, I want to hear about XYZ. Like, I want to hear about you winning Miss Teen Canada International. And I was like, I won. But like, I didn't feel like I could tell the whole story. And my early career as a motivational speaker, where I was like touring the world with celebrities and speaking on stages to 20,000 people, I was like, zip of the lips. Like, I felt like I couldn't get into it because there was a lot that I wanted to say and I didn't know how to say it in a way that felt safe. I felt scared. I felt like my own fear was silencing me from telling my whole truth. And I told my literary team, like, the reality is there's a lot I want to say that I've never said before, but I'm scared too. And I don't know how to do it, to be honest and not like hurt people, and also not put myself in a situation where I could get sued for sharing my story, which is like such a weird position to feel like you're in, is like you can't share your story because of potential like legal ramifications. And so I was like, it would be like really important to me that I have a legal read, which is where once your book's written, a lawyer reads it and then tells you all of the things that you need to change. So I was really upfront with my team from the very beginning, and they were on board. I spent 4 months writing my proposal, 2 months pitching to publishers. And when I had meetings with interested publishers, it was, again, something before I ever signed with anybody, I was super upfront. This needs to be read by a lawyer. And my team, Abrams, was like, yep, absolutely, we've got you. And so when I went into writing this book, you know, I read a lot of memoirs because historically, I honestly wasn't really a fan of memoirs. So I read a lot of different memoirs to try to be inspired and see like, what do I like and what don't I like? So I know going into writing mine, like I have that inspo, those ideas in my head. And the two that absolutely inspired me the most were Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died and Julia Fox Down the Drain. And what inspired me about those books was that A, they're so well written. Like, they are written like a work of fiction. They are total page turners. And I'll say, going into both of those books, I didn't know who either of them were. Apparently I live under a rock. I just was not aware. And so it's not like I loved it because I was a fan or was a page turner because I was like, oh, I know these people so well, I want to get all the juice. They were just simply well-written books that felt visceral, and I loved that. And then the other thing about it that I really, really loved, above and beyond other memoirs that I was reading, was their brutal honesty. They wrote their books to share their full truth. They did not write their books to glamorize themselves, their lives, what they've done. They told the whole truth, even when it was things that we might judge them for. They did it anyways. And what I found in reading that, like for example, I remember reading where Jeanette was talking about being jealous of her co-star, aka Ariana Grande. Jealousy is a feeling like we've all been taught to hide and to pretend we don't have. And she admitted that she had that feeling. And instead of judging her and being like, oh, she's a bad person for getting jealous, it humanized her to me. And I felt like more connected to her than I would have if she had simply acted like she was this like holier than thou wonderful person and only bad things happened to her, but she never did bad things, right? And I thought, if I'm leaving these books feeling that way, like I see their humanity and that's something we share, instead of walking away judging them for their misgivings, then maybe I can be that blunt and honest about my whole self, even when it doesn't make me look very good. And hopefully people will give me the same grace that I gave them when I read their books. And I know not everybody will, which is one of the things that I'm terrified about. It's like I have these two things that I'm so scared of. I'm scared that people who I talk about will not like how I talked about them, and that people who read this book won't like it and will judge me and will walk into it liking me and being a follower, and walk away no longer liking me. Because I know that when I was reading reviews of their books, I did see people who made those comments. But I have to remind myself that while there was, yes, people who judged Jeanette for what she shared in her book, way more people loved it and felt seen and felt heard and felt they understood her on a deeper level. And that was me when I read it. So those are my people. So even if there is people who read this and no longer like me because I'm not painting a pretty picture of myself, I'm telling the truth about myself, which means I talk about things that I'm embarrassed about, things that I'm ashamed of, times when I did something that I don't think was very good, that I wish I hadn't done, decisions I made that I would reverse if I could, but that was who I was in that moment. And that was my truth at that time. And I wrote this as if things were happening almost in real time. So like, for example, in the book, I talk about how much I hate the cane. I don't hate my cane anymore. I proudly use my cane. But in this book, I talk about how much I hate the cane because I was talking about hating the cane at the time that I was using the cane when I was like 9 to 14. It's really interesting. Like, I hope people, when they read that, they understand that I'm not trying to say that's how I feel now, but it is how I felt at the moment that the story in this book was being told, if that makes sense. And so I wrote this book, and during the creative writing process, it was very cathartic. It was very healing because, God, I mean, a lot of the chapters just like flowed out of me. I would lock myself in a room for like 8 to 10 hours, and it was like I was in a trance. And I wouldn't even have my screen reader on. I would just sit and type because I didn't want any noise. Like, I wanted utter silence, just like my thoughts flowing. And then if I like needed to reread something, I'd turn it on, read it, and then like keep going. Because it was like these stories have been sitting inside of me for so long, wanting to be told and being unable to. And so it was like this freeing feeling of being like, I just gotta get it all out of me. But then came eventually the legal read. And it's like the book was written, it was done, and then a lawyer has to read it in whole. And I was so nervous about it because I know what I talk about in this book. And I know that there are some really powerful entities that I talk about, and they have reputations to uphold. And I want to be so clear that writing this book has never been about tearing anybody else down. It's been about freeing my own self. It's been about taking back my power. And so it's not like I ever wrote this to expose them. I actually, from the very start, had changed names and things like that, and like was speaking in as broad strokes as I could, because it's not about hurting other people. I'm never about hurting other people. I've been at the receiving end of pain by others for so much of my life and in so many different ways by different people at different times that like I know how that feels. And I never want to be the cause that somebody else feels that. Even frankly, if they deserve it a little bit, like even if I'm like, you're not a good person, it's still not me to give that karma. Like, that's not my job. Universe will give you your karma. I don't want to be that person. And perhaps part of that is my struggle with people pleasing, which I do talk about in the book. Like, I've struggled with people pleasing for most of my life. And I think part of that comes again from being bullied, wanting to please people so they don't bully me or they don't hurt me. And then it also comes from being a disabled woman in a society who does not view disability as a positive thing. Like, I want to make myself fit expectations. I want to please people so they don't think less of me or judge me. And so definitely part of like not wanting to hurt these other people is because in a weird way, I'm still people pleasing. Like, I'm still like scared of them. And I am, like, that's the reality. I'm still scared of these people and I'm terrified to release this book because of that. So it's like this weird thing where I really want to tell these stories because I believe it's important not only to free my own self and like get it off my chest, like this weight being lifted, but also because I know that there's other people who will resonate with these stories, who will see themselves in these moments. But that doesn't mean that I'm not terrified that people will judge me and that I'm not terrified that people will be upset with me. And I had a lot that I had to change when that legal review came in, which was equally hard. I thought I was done writing the book. Like, I was in the home stretch. And then all of a sudden it was like tons of notes that did heavily impact major sections of the book that were like extensively lengthy with many chapters dedicated to the topic, where it was like, okay, now I have to like rethink how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to tell my story honestly and hold space for my truth while also protecting myself. And at the beginning of the book, you see a legal disclaimer. It says names and identifying characteristics have been changed and some conversations or some dialogue has been recreated. All true. If you're reading this expecting you're getting name drops, you're not. I'm not name dropping in this book. I mean, I am actually in some parts. Some parts I name drop. But only I name drop when I know that I have every bit of evidence I need to back my claim up. But yeah, I definitely had to like make a lot of tweaks. It was hard doing that. And editing the book was so much harder than writing the book. Like I said, writing the book was like this creative expression where it just flowed and it didn't have to be perfect. You just had to get the words on the page. Editing it was deciding like what parts of your story mean the most and what parts don't matter for this book. It's not that they don't matter, but it's that they don't matter for this book. And another thing that I tend to do, and I think it comes from years of being on the internet and seeing the way people twist your words or misunderstand what you're saying, I can tend to like over-explain in the hopes that I give all the ways somebody might help them understand. And so like whittling all of that down and being like, I hope people still understand without all of the extra over-explanation. So yeah, it's like a very strange process. And then once you're done writing it and you lock that in and you can no longer make any changes, it's really hard because it'll never be done. Like just the other day, I was like, oh, that would have been such a better chapter title, like for one of the chapters. And it's like, okay, well, I can't change it now. It doesn't matter. Like the chapter title that's there is still fine. It's just like, this one would have been better. And you're always going to do that like a million times over, which is why during the process of doing the audiobook, which I did this video for, I was like, oh my God, this book's terrible. I hate this book. This is awful. Why did anybody let me print this book? But then like when I look at Goodreads at like the early reviews and I hear from people who like write the blurbs on the back of my book, it's all like super positive. So I'm like, okay. And my negative self-talk brain is like, they're all lying to you. And it's like, I have to be like, no, they're not lying to you, Molly. But
motivation for them too.
Yeah. But I give them motivation in my head. I assign a reason why they would lie. So that's my perfectionist brain. I get it from my dad. Thank you so much, Peter. And yeah, it's crazy that this is going to be out in less than a month. Like in 3 weeks, this will be in your hands. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to like stay busy enough that you're distracted. But also you're going to be so curious to know what everyone thinks. So
right, because it's like, I know I'm going to want the validation. Like that's the reality. I will want validation that like, oh, that hard work was worth it. And we don't hate you now. And you're not in trouble and everything's fine. So to the people wondering, is there anything in here that's new to me? Yes. Obviously, there are sections where like I have to understand that people who don't follow me will pick this up on a bookshelf and who have no idea who I am. So of course, if you followed me and you know about my journey, like there will be bits and pieces that you do know. But I certainly think I go more into depth about them. And overwhelmingly, I made sure that there was a ton in this book that is brand new. And I did actually look at one of the reviews and they said that they've been following me for a long time and there was so much they learned that they didn't already know. So I was like, good, we accomplished it. Some other cool like features that I feel like I haven't shared with you guys about this book is that the font we have inside for the print book is the Braille Institute Hyperlegible Atkinson font. So it's designed to be easier to read for people with low vision or print reading disabilities like dyslexia. And then we also made sure to use like wider spacing, which is called kerning. Who knew? I've learned so much on this journey to being an author. So we've increased the spacing between letters and words so that it's easier, like your eyes have more space to breathe when you're reading. And then we've also made it like the largest print possible for a normal standard size book. So no, it is not large print. I don't want to be deceiving, but it is the largest print that we could do. We also have, like pages that are anti-glare. And then instead of using italics, we use bolded font because italics can be difficult for low vision and pre-reading disabilities. I really tried to make like every element of this as accessible and inclusive as I could, and like really centering my community in the design process. And I'm not saying I got it all right. I'm sure there's things that I've missed. Keep in mind, I don't read books. I listen to audiobooks. So I thought of everything that I could possibly think of from somebody who can't read books. So I hope I did it justice for all of you with low vision and pre-reading disabilities. And then, of course, the real cover is going to be so much prettier. Like, it'll be gold metallic foil to pay homage to the fact that I have light perception and can see metallics. It's much higher color contrast. We have the bold, clear, easy to read fonts. We will have tactile braille that says Unseen and Molly Burke on it. So I've really done my best. And of course, the cover shoot, everybody involved in the cover shoot was disabled. So the makeup artist was a quadriplegic. The hairstylist was legally blind, and the photographer was a amputee, and they were all women. So really trying to practice what I preach. If I'm telling people to hire inclusively and hire disabled people and pay them their worth, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. So that's like some of the different elements about this book that I don't think I've shared here in like a long form YouTube video yet. Okay, and now I want to get into the giveaway. You guys have been seeing on my short form platforms, which, by the way, if you don't follow me over there, definitely make sure that you do. I post content every single day on my other platforms. So on those other platforms, you'll see that I've been doing an ARC scavenger hunt. So every major city that I travel to, I hide a signed copy of my ARC for one of my followers to find. I just thought it would be a really fun, interactive idea and a way to give back to all of you, or as many of you as I can, because you're the reason that I get opportunities like this. So I thought, it's not fair for those of you who aren't in any of those big cities that I'm going to. You don't have any chance to hunt for an ARC, so I figured I would do a giveaway for one. And I thought, just to make it extra special, here we have a framed sleeve of the book jacket. So it does have the proper gold metallic foil and the braille on the cover, but it does have the wrong subtitle. But you'll see that it has like some gibberish on the back where some of the blurbs will go. And then it does have my author photo. So it's like kind of a hybrid of like correct final sleeve, but also not quite yet final, which I feel like makes it fun and extra special. Only 2 of these exist. I have one, and whoever wins this will have this framed version. And because only one person can win this, I wanted to give back in a special way to everybody and do another interactive kind of fun experiential moment, because I'm all about experiential marketing, right? I can't see. I want experiences, moments, things to use your other senses for. So I've created a Spotify playlist, and each song on the playlist corresponds with a chapter. It either corresponds to the title of the chapter, the theme of the chapter, the emotion of the chapter, the overall like energy. So I figured I'll link the Spotify playlist down below. It's called Unseen, and the cover of the book is the cover of the playlist on Spotify. And you can listen to that in order, and that will bring you through the emotional feels of the book before you get a chance to read it. And what's really fun is, like, if you're a millennial like me, you're definitely gonna have some nostalgia moments on there. We got some Hilary Duff, Christina Aguilera. Then we've got some oldies, like of course I had to put an Elton John on there, but then we also have some cool indie artists that are much smaller. So I feel like it's just gonna be a little bit of something for everybody, and I think it's really fun. So if you don't end up winning, you can still go have some fun and listen to that playlist in preparation to gear up for reading Unseen, How I Lost My Vision, but Found My Voice. Can't even tell you how much it drives me insane that I still don't have a copy with the right subtitle. And now the big thing, how to enter. So the way you're going to enter this giveaway is by posting some kind of short form video or like photo with writing on it if you don't feel comfortable filming, or it could just be like your voice doing a voiceover of the video, but you're shooting grass. Like, I don't care what the visuals are, just some kind of video where you share a moment that you have felt unseen. Because that's what this is all about. It's not just me who's been unseen. Most people have felt unseen in certain moments of their life. And I want everybody who's ever felt that to feel a connection when they read this book, to feel more seen. And so if you can share a moment in life that you have felt unseen and post it with @MollyBurkeOfficial and hashtag unseen memoir. All capitals unseen, lowercase memoir. And through that, I will go through and select a winner. And I don't want anybody to feel bad if they don't win. I'm not actually going to like pick based off of the story you tell. That is just simply for submission's sake and for people to like go through and be able to watch and feel connection and build community around this feeling of being unseen. I am going to randomize the selection because I don't want it to be like, I'm picking you because you've had the hardest story. So it's not going to be about your story. Your story is still valid and valuable and important and special even if you don't win. So just want to make that clear. Submissions will be open until next Tuesday. So that gives you 4 days. Molly from the future here, popping in with bad news. I got the final book in my hands this week. This is the book that they printed thousands of, and it has no tactile braille. Just visual dots where they almost kind of attempted to put the braille over it. It's like extremely flat, much flatter than the original sample they sent me. Some of the dots don't even have any texture on them at all. They're just a visual dot. A few other elements are messed up as well, like the gold metallic foil isn't as gold. The color grade isn't what we had agreed upon. Little things like that that honestly, they're not a huge deal. But the braille, that's a huge deal because braille isn't just a design element, it's access. And I don't want to encourage future designers who see that I, a blind woman, put non-tactile braille on my cover as permission to use braille as simply a visual aesthetic instead of what it is meant for, which is to give people access. I am well aware that braille readers probably aren't picking this book up at the store with the intention of reading it. They're probably getting the audiobook. But the point remains that I did this so that my community feels included. They see themselves on bookshelves.
And for the public to learn.
Yeah, and exactly, and as an educational conversation starter about braille. Like, so a kid sees it and goes, "What's that, Mom?" And it starts a conversation. So people who maybe never have a chance to touch braille or don't think twice about braille who get my book, touch it and they do think about it and it makes them question. And I know that like a lot of my blind supporters have told me that they're buying the physical book just because they want to support it. And I want them to have this and to feel it and to know that it's there and that I thought of them. And so I've had to make a really hard decision, but my publisher and I have decided to get the covers reprinted, which means the release date will no longer be September 23rd. And I can promise you I am as devastated as you are about that because I've spent 2.5 years working on this and poured everything into it, but that's also why I want it to be right. And that means the new release date is October 14th. So it is delayed by a few weeks. I am, as I said, deeply disappointed. I have been working towards the September 23rd date. I think I have said the date September 23rd more times than anyone I've ever seen promoting their book release. Like, I have been living for that date. And honestly, I'm at the point where I just want this in your hands. Like, I want this out in the world. I'm so done. I just want you to have it now. And the fact that it is delayed by like 3 more weeks is so frustrating to me. So if you're frustrated and disappointed, no, you are not alone. And if there's any way that the publisher and I could have avoided this, we would have. But October 14th is the fastest that they can get all of them reprinted by for mass distribution. So if you've pre-ordered, that is the new date that you will be getting your book. If you plan to pick it up in stores, that is the new date that you can go and find it in stores like Barnes & Noble. yeah, stay tuned on my socials for any other updates. Like follow me on all my other platforms. That's where you get like day-to-day updates on Instagram stories and stuff about events and things like that around the book, like book signings and things. So stay tuned for any updates and info around all of that. But I mean, I guess if I have to find silver lining, which you know me, I'm always trying to find the positives. Now it's being released in October, which is World Sight Month. So I don't know, that's kind of a fun tie into my story. But yeah, I'd rather have it out on the 23rd of September, just like you guys. So I'm so sorry about this. And I just want to say that like everybody on my team is taking this so seriously. And like my publisher met with the printer in person, as soon as we noticed this issue, and they're working on putting guardrails in place to make sure that this does not happen again. So I'm now super anxious. I was like so excited to finally get it with the right subtitle, and then everything else is wrong, especially the Braille. So yeah, just we're working to make sure nothing happens again. I am very anxious about it. So everybody send good vibes. Fingers crossed that the printer does their job. Thank you to everyone who's pre-ordered and supported me on this journey. I appreciate you so much, and I can't wait till this book is finally in your hands. That is all for today's video. All this to say, being an author is terrifying, and until next time, you can click over here to watch this video about a recent shooting I experienced, or over here to watch a video where I react to people faking their disability. Ooh, tea.